Alright. So, what's going on, everybody? Sir Kirby here again with the new series. Sorry, I really just wanted to play that opening cinematic because this is the first time I've played this game. I wasn't supposed to say that. Nah, it's fine. That was just a joke. I was talking with somebody about it earlier. Yeah, I'm an expert at this game when I'm not. But it's one that I've wanted to play for a long time, and I have actually played the direct sequel to it. So, yeah, we're playing Fire Emblem now. FE9. That's loud in my headphones. Alright, that's interesting that those options are there. Oh, it auto-saves. Alright. I had opened the game up a little bit ago just to make sure it ran correctly, and it did. But I didn't realize that closing the game without it saving would leave the save file there, so ignore that. But yeah, so in the meantime, I've been told that I should play on difficult mode. Not looking forward to that. But this is definitely not easy mode for me, because I've played the game before. And I mean, I've played normal mode on other games before, so why not take a challenge, right? So, we get another cinematic. I'm going to try not to talk over it.
Well, Ike, you had enough? Oh, missed.
Yeah, I shouldn't have did that.
Oh no!
Dad, you broke him.
Missed that song.
Ah, you're up. About time.
10 out of 10 voice acting. Not that I would do better. Alright. So we're getting right into things. Trying to remember if there's... Okay. I'm going to have to adjust the settings again. I'm also not going to pretend to, like, be a decent, line reader. So I'll probably talk over stuff about other things and let the scenes go in the background so you can read them if you want. I'm not, at least for now, I'm not going to go through and read all of them out myself. That's not where I'm at my strength. Although, we can talk about that in the future. But, so while we're doing this, I'll actually take a second to talk about basically how Fire Emblem works as a series. So, music. You get a bunch of units, and it's basically hardcore mode. So, if you already know this and you don't care anything about the cutscene, I'll put a timestamp on screen that you can skip to. But if you do want to know, or if you just want to watch the cutscene to remind yourself and become familiar with the story, then that's cool too. But yeah, so you get a collection of units that you recruit one at a time. Ike is our main character, so we'll be running around with him. And it's an RPG style game, so each unit has a level that you can increase by gaining experience. And then they have several stats associated with them. We'll talk more about that in a second. basically each stat has its own thing. So strength is physical damage, magic is magical damage. Yes, there's magic in this game. There's skill, which affects mainly hit rate. Speed is how fast. It doesn't affect your map movement, but it's your attack speed. So how many times you can attack in one round of combat. Luck, they claim it affects a lot of things. I'm convinced it actually affects nothing. And then defense and resistance are the same as strength and magic, except for your defensive values rather than your offensive values. So that's what all of those mean. And then each unit also has their own HP. There's several different classes of units. We'll get to those as we go. Most of them are pretty easy to figure out. So anyway, while I've been ignoring the story and talking about other things, Boyd showed up shortly after Greil shoved Ike into the dirt and beat the crap out of him. So that's fun. And now we have a sparring partner. And he seems just as confused as we are, which is great. Someone closer to his own skill, which is funny because I think Boyd actually does have a comparable base skill to Ike. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing through the game. This is the first time I've actually played FE9. I mentioned before I've played through Radiant Dawn, which is the sequel to this game, a number of times, but this is the first time I've gotten to play through Path of Radiance. So I'm familiar with the characters, but not so much with this game. So I'll be looking up item locations and things like that, though I don't think there are any items that we can find like on the maps. At least not yet, but I'll be looking those up, and even if I don't find all of them, I'll at least point out like what's where for people who don't know. Anyway, so we'll cross that bridge as we get to it. So here is our world map. So you see our blue units. These are our units. The red units are our enemy. It's just the two of us in this chapter, so nothing too much happens. You see in the top left up there, our goal is to defeat the boss, which in this case is Boyd. And we've got our turn count, which on I think every chapter in this game, except for like 3, doesn't matter. Don't quote me on that. We'll correct myself later. But anyway, so while we've got a second, let me look at Ike. So I'll put some more things on screen, like growth rates and stuff. I might actually just have my graphics that I prepared for this, but we can start here for a second and then shift over there when we get there. So, as we can see, Ike, our main character, he starts off as a level 1 ranger. He has 19 base HP, 5 strength, 1 magic, 6 skill, 7 speed, 6 luck, 5 defense, and no resistance. And then his movement stat, which I don't see on here, and I don't want to look through too much, even though I know it's listed somewhere. Oh, it's in the top right. There it is. He's got 6 move, so movement will be different for everybody. As it stands right now, the only equipment he has is a trainer sword. That'll change after this chapter. It's just a chapter 1 thing. So his growth rates for his stats. So when you level up, when you get to 100 experience, you gain a level, and then each level you gain, you have a percentage chance to gain 1 in each stat. And that's what I made. Well, actually, I made the graphics for base stats as well as growth rates, so I can show them side by side. So I'm not entirely sure until I edit what I'll be showing right now. But, in any case, I can tell you that his growth rates are 75% HP, 50% strength, 20 magic, 50 skill, 55 speed, 35 luck, 40 defense, and 40 resistance. So, he's alright for a main character. The only downside about a main character in this game, in my opinion, is that they have forced promotions, so you can't promote them just whenever you want. You have to wait for a certain part of the story. And since this is the first time I've played through this game, I have no idea when that is. So, yeah. He might get over-leveled really fast. The level cap for each class is 20. And then I forget if you can level up by just going to level 21 in this game, but I don't think you can. I think that's something that they made available in the sequel to this game, but not in this one. I'll edit myself a note on screen if that's wrong. I'll look it up. That's one of the things I forgot to check when I was preparing to set up the series, but that's what editing's for. So yeah, so that's Ike. He's our main character of the game, as I've said. And now over here we have Boyd. These stats that I'm showing right now do not matter, because he joins us after this chapter, and his stats pretty much all change. All you need to know is that he's a fighter, and he uses axes, and we have to kill him. So, let's do that. Actually, before we do that, what I should do, I'm going to leave animations on, but I want basically everything that can get faster to get faster. And I might turn off animations later on, but at least for now, I like them personally. You know, even on the old style console, they're still, hello? That was not supposed to happen. Okay. One glitch found. Now let's murder Boyd. So you might have seen on the combat window right there, I should have stopped, I didn't. I'll explain what those mean in a second. Boyd's got nothing, take him out. Nothing? So here's combat. Like I said, I should have explained what that little window meant, at least quickly, for people who don't know. I'll go back to it in a second. Unfortunately, I think Boyd's actually going to die before we do that. Yeah, because he takes 9 damage, so... Ow.
Oh no!
And you're dead. So there we go. So as you saw a second ago, you gain experience for damaging a unit, but then you gain more experience for actually defeating him. So we have defeated Boyd, and he is now an other unit. That wasn't too bad. Yeah, I know, you lost. And of course, he's mad about it. Failed to see how that was good work, but whatever. So he's going to fall off to the side. Greil is going to yell at us for a second. And now we have to fight him. Alright, we have to heal first. So Mist is going to run over and give us our first healing item. We've got a vulnerary now. She doesn't seem too confident in us. So Grail's going to go stand over there. So now it's turn 2, and now we've got Greil. So these are his stats. Nothing too important. He has skills and stuff, though. Anyway. So we can check his range, like, by pressing A over him, which I didn't think you could do in hard mode, but I might just be confusing that with the other game again. So sorry in advance for the number of times I do that. I know that on the first turn he doesn't attack us, so we can stop right here and use our vulnerary to heal. So we're good now. So this turn he's going to look at us and yell at us, but then he's not going to move. So now on this turn, we could technically attack him and be okay. But somehow I feel like something's going to go wrong if I do that. So, actually no, you can beat him without doing that. So what this window here means, obviously on the top, you've got remaining HP. Might is the amount of damage you'll do, hit is your hit rate, and then critical is your critical hit rate. These numbers will get far more important as we get later in the game. And then it doesn't show it here, but it showed it when we fought Boyd a second ago. There was a little arrow that was pointing up on our weapon and down on his. That's the weapon triangle, so swords are effective against axes, axes are effective against lances, and lances are effective against swords. So rock, paper, scissors. And then I think there's also a magic triangle later in the game, but I don't want to say anything that's wrong before we get there, so we'll cross that bridge once we get some magic users. For now, let's just fight Daddy. I think it's really weird that we can do more damage than him. But, whatever, right? Going to give me a challenge this time around? No, I thought I was going to let you whack me into the dirt again. That seemed like a better idea, personally. So this turn, he actually does attack us on his move. And we're flirting with death, but that's okay, because we're actually just trying to get more XP. For the sake of moving, I'm going to move over here. So we see we've got a 100% chance to do 9 damage, so we're good. And now we win. So there we go. And we've got our first level up for Ike. So this is where the growth rates come into play. Let's see how bad they are. Strength, skill, and luck. That's a solid first level. Could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. You were great! Gee, thanks. Sorry, I was skipping a little bit too fast there. I know I read faster than some people. You could tell the difference, that means you're improving. And I'm like, tell the difference in what? Yeah, Boyd's like, I wasn't doing everything I could either. Bah. That mean you finally admit I'm ready? No. Yeah. So I think the pre-story here was that Ike is training to go on his first mission or whatever. They didn't really iron that out too clearly to me, at least. And basically everybody's just ganging up and picking on Boyd because Ike beat him even though he's been in the field before. So, good job, Boyd. One other thing that I'm going to do that I didn't mention while I was going over stats, so you probably saw something there that I just ignored if I put my graphic up. I'm giving each unit a rating out of 5. Save. It's completely subjective, and some of them I'm probably just wrong for thinking what I think, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm putting a little asterisk on those right now, on at least the ratings specifically, that they're subject to change, because I'm used to looking at their growth rates and, you know, how they progress in Fire Emblem 10, and a lot of these characters are the same in FE9, but their growth rates and base stats are completely different. So I'm judging them based on what they look like to me. If I need to adjust something later, I will, but that's kind of the point I'm looking at with those. So anyway, now we're meeting Titania. On day 1, you're late. Oops. Get out, you're late. Okay. Something something bandits, something something village. Something something Oscar and Boyd, something something. Take Ike with you. He sucks. He needs to learn. Okay. Alright, my first job. Celebratory music. I don't know why we're celebrating murder. Hey look, it's Oscar, whose eyes are always closed, no matter what, and I don't understand it.
Open your eyes!
Oscar.
So we're taking these 4 over to our first mission. That isn't beating the crap out of Boyd in the backyard. I think it's funny that Boyd is still actively worried about setting a good example for Ike after Ike just crushed him. But it's all good. We're not going to be out there alone this time. We have help. Ooh, you know what that means. We have to talk about more units. Also, water. This seems like a very questionable place for a village. Too easy for stuff to go wrong. It's all good, though. The bandits are few. They only outnumber us 3 to 1. The goal is to take out the leader in front of the building and then secure that building. That's cool. Can do that. A rookie like you, a few tips. But I want to jump out in front of everyone. That seems like a good thing to do. Yeah, so basically the point of this whole conversation here is you're not alone anymore, so you have other units to manage, but you're also still learning how to do it. So, yeah. So, before we go any further, obviously Ike is back, but we've got Boyd again, and his stats are different. So let's talk about that. Instead of his 18 HP that he had previously, he's now up to 30, and I didn't bother looking at or writing down what his other stats were, but that's because I knew they didn't matter. So, 30 base HP, 7 strength, no magic, 4 skill, 6 speed, 4 luck, 5 defense, no resistance, and he's a level 2 fighter. And I mean, these bases are alright. Like, I don't think they're anything to write home about personally. Especially the 4 skill. Like, I know fighters are bad at skill, but that's a little ridiculous for me. Just knowing that he has to make up for it with axes, which are already inaccurate. Like, you see he has 87 hit right now. We can compare that to Ike, who has 111. Also, he has 4 iron swords. I think he's a little bit overprepared. That's just me, though. Anyway, back to Boyd. So he's got some, like, manageable bases, but they're nothing to write home about. His growth rates, I think, are actually marginally better than Ike's, just considering his class and what he needs. So he has 75 HP, 60 strength, 5 magic, which is fine. He doesn't need magic for anything. 50 skill, 45 speed, 35 luck, 25 defense, 25 resistance. Out of all of those, the only one that really irks me is 25 defense, because fighters are supposed to be able to take hits, and I feel like in this game that was done through HP alone, but not through defense, and you kind of need both to be an effective wall. So, I don't know. I mean, Boyd is certainly not pathetic. He's just not as good as I'd like him to be. You know, all things considered. So, he's certainly usable, though, for at least a little while. You know, I wouldn't write him off as the worst unit in the game. I think we find some of those later on. I just don't think he's the best unit in the game by any means. So I think for Ike, I gave him 4 out of 5 stars, which was a little bit generous for me. But that's because he's the main character, so you kind of have to use him. So it's not so much that he's good as much as it is get used to seeing him. For Boyd, I give him a 2 out of 5, just because his defense growth isn't reliable for me. I think he can turn out okay with a little bit of luck, but relying on luck, especially in a Fire Emblem game, is not a good thing to do, in my opinion. But he's certainly usable if you get a couple of things to break your way in the early going. So, yeah, that's Boyd. Let's move on now. We've got Oscar over here. Ike doesn't have an older brother. Boyd's older brother, which doesn't mean too much for the story, but it's true. So, Oscar is a level 3 Lance Knight. He's got respectable bases. So 26 HP, 6 strength, 1 magic, 6 skill, 7 speed, 5 luck, 8 defense, and no resistance. The advantage that he has over others is his mount. He is a mounted unit, so he's got a horse, which means he can move farther. So Oscar, I think, automatically becomes a bit more usable than Boyd. Between the bases and the mount. And then he also has growth rates of 55 HP, 45 strength, 20 magic, which why? 50% skill, 45 speed, 30 luck, 35 defense, and 30 resistance. His defense growth, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's certainly nothing to laugh at with a defense of 8. So Oscar, for me, gets an easy 4 out of 5, maybe even a 5 out of 5 with a little bit of extra luck in the early going. His speed is a little bit questionable, but not any more so than Ike's. I think they actually have the same growth. I have to pull it up again. Oh no, Ike has a much better speed growth. Ike's is 55, not 45. So, I mean, Oscar might slow down a little bit, but for the early game, he's got that going for him. It's certainly a solid unit to consider using long term. And then Lances, I think, are overall the best weapon in the game because they do a solid mix of damage and accuracy. Whereas axes are very hard hitting, but also very hard to hit with. And then swords are kind of the opposite. They tend to be really easy to hit with, but they don't tend to do as much damage as they can, or as others can. So I think Oscar's kind of got a lot going for him in that regard. And then lastly, we have Titania, the deputy commander of the mercenary group that Ike is a part of. She is our pre-promoted unit, and if you've ever talked to me about Fire Emblem, you know that's automatically kind of a knock, at least in a game where there's only 2 promotions. Spoiler alert, Fire Emblem 10 has a 3rd one. I'll put subtitles there. I thought to whisper, and then I realized how far away I was from my mic, so if that wasn't clear on the recording, I'll subtitle in there. But it's not something that I want to repeat verbally, because whispering was kind of the whole point. Anyway, so she's the pre-promote, also a mounted unit, uses axes though, and pre-promoted. So she's a level 1 paladin, which in layman's terms means she gains like no experience. But it kind of makes up for it if you can survive into the late game and still have a use for her, because her bases and growths are actually really good. 33 base HP, 12 strength, 4 magic, 13 skill, 14 speed, 11 luck, 11 defense, and 7 resistance. I think Oscar should outclass that pretty easily by the time he gets to Paladin, but if you need a Paladin and you don't want to use Oscar, I don't know why you wouldn't want to use Oscar, but if you don't, certainly a good option. Also could just be a solid axe alternative to Boyd promoting. And then growth rates of 80% HP, which is really good, 45 strength, 25 magic, 60 skill, which is really good for someone that uses axes, 50 speed, 45 luck, 40 defense, and 45 resistance. Solid all the way around. I don't think she's really great at any one thing, but she's definitely not lacking anywhere. The mount is a solid boost. I just can't bring myself to give a pre-promote in a Fire Emblem game more than 3 out of 5 on a rating. That's probably just laughably wrong of me, but this is the kind of unit that you want to avoid using in the early game because it soaks up experience that could be used for other people. That's just me, though. So anyway, we've also got these houses that have items in them. I didn't look up what they are, but we should be able to visit them all pretty easily. So our clear condition this time around is to seize, which is this glowing square right here, which has the boss sitting on it. I'm not going to worry too much about looking at boss stats. Basically, just know that they're stronger than everybody else. So with all that out of the way, and running a little bit short on time, actually, I'm going to go ahead and start killing some things. The episode might split here. It might not. We'll see. We'll see what the final recording time looks like. But in the meantime, let's visit this house. So, this guy, oh, he's heard a lot about us. That's interesting. A steel sword. Nice. And then we've got Kanto on our sword users, which means they, or not our horse mounted units. What are they called? Which means they can move again afterwards. So right here you see Ike A has the weapon triangle advantage. That's what those arrows are. And you also see that he can attack twice. It's because he's got better speed than this particular bandit by, I think, 4 or more. It's either 4 or more or 5 or more. I always get backwards what games have it and what. Oh, also he can miss, which is good to see. Ike did not go to a good training school for how to hit things with swords, but it gets the job done, I suppose. That's just, again, just my commentary, though. Let's see if we can finish this guy off with Oscar. This might actually just go really badly. This has a lot of room to go wrong in the early going. I was laughing earlier with somebody that I was talking about, like, so, who do you think's going to be the first one to die? And Oscar is in play right now, because I didn't think too hard about how to put that all together. We'll see what happens, I guess. And then I know we can run over here and whack this guy once with Boyd, who has a 2% critical chance. That'd be cool to see in the early going. Nope. Ow. So like you see right there, Boyd's already taking 8 damage a pop, which is a lot for the early game. And I mean, he's got the 30 HP to match up with it. He just basically says don't let him live and take the houses down. If you didn't get a chance to read that. And also they move slow and there's no way to save that house. So that's what the bandit guys do, as opposed to the fighters and Myrmidons in this chapter. That's the only house that we can't get to. I don't think it actually even has anything in it. I'll fact check that. But yeah, so Boyd's taken 2 hits. His health is already down under half, which is why I'm a little bit skeptical to rely on him long term. Nice accuracy there, bud. So everybody's basically just going to swarm us and try to hit us with as many things as they can. But this is why I think Oscar's reliable early on, especially. Because he can take hits from the axe users and then usually do pretty well of either dodging or also just taking hits from the sword users in the early parts of the game. So he's able to do a lot. He's versatile despite his axe, or his lance. Okay, he can't reach that this turn. So, but yeah, Oscar's versatile. He can do a lot for you, and he's not going to do a lot generally to hurt you. So he can pretty much get a free kill right here. because he can still afford to take hits from a couple of the other enemies in the area. So we can hit and run this guy, and then get Oscar over to this house just to try to guard it. I don't want to put him in range of this guy though, because you can just avoid extra hits wherever you can. I should be able to get a kill with Boyd here, or I guess I should say another kill with Boyd. But you can see he's already being threatened. This is why I don't like his, like, I know I've said it already, but this is why I don't like his low defense. Because he's threatened by basically everything. At least if you're not careful. I'd like to think I'm careful, but that's something that I've said playing Fire Emblem a lot, and I've seen my fair share of deaths. Anyway, I'm gonna try not to, like I said, I'm gonna try not to abuse Ike too much in the early going, but I know I need to get him going. Just so he can hold his own and not get picked off. That's a really good level up for Ike. That's really good. So I'm encouraged about how this is gonna go now. And then with Titania, I want Titania to stay out of the way, because I don't want her to steal experience. But I also want her to, like, stay close enough to be serviceable, basically. And then this is kind of the hard part of the early game too, is everybody goes for Ike. So if you're trying not to just funnel all of the early game experience into Ike, you basically have to get a lot of defensive kills. Well, either defensive kills or just weaken people down using Ike. And then let Boyd or whoever else come in behind him. Which is doable, you know. It's the kind of thing that you can figure out easily enough. But it's also a threat to the development of the rest of your roster, so. Now with this, I'm actually going to visit the house, and then return back this, actually. I think if I come, ooh, oh no. If I do that, they should both be okay, right? Yeah. That was almost catastrophic, though. Alright, so we've gotten all of the items we can here, because like I said, this house is impossible to get to before the bandit destroys it. And, we've already looted the other two, so we can just bring Titania over here. Just keep her close by in case of emergency. My work here is done. Now it's time to move on to bigger and better things. So he's going to go after Boyd. And Boyd's going to get hit hard, and he's going to hit back pretty much just as hard, but he's still being threatened right now. Wow, that was a really weird round of combat all the way around. It's not very often you see even a bandit miss Oscar early on, and it just happened right there. 46... I wonder. Nope. I'm trying to see if there's a way I can get Boyd a kill without putting him in harm's way. Doesn't look like it. Ow. But this is what I'm talking about too, where Ike is getting a lot of experience really quickly, which is technically a good thing, but it can cause problems later on down the line. We're gonna heal Boyd right here, and then let's see if Oscar can finish off this bandit. Because if he can, we can just make a little wall. Ooh, a critical! Nice! I like that animation. I'm a fan. And of course he's 1 XP short of a level up. So we can move Oscar over here, and we've got a little line now. So we've pretty much won this chapter. It's just a matter of who we want to kill the boss with at this point. I'm actually thinking Boyd. I like using Boyd in FE10. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to justify doing it this time. I want to get him a couple of levels to see how he progresses early on. And then maybe I can stick with him. So we can only carry 4 weapons at a time. It makes sense to drop the used iron sword, to me. So, if we come over here, 9, so we can only take 1 hit. What if Ooh, you can't double. Can you double? Of course you can. What can Ike do? Alright, it's possible to get this kill with Boyd. I might regret trying this, though. You're nothing but a boy. Well, you're technically right. I don't really want to run away, though. I'm gonna hit you first, and then you're gonna miss. Alright. So I think if I rescue Ike and move right there... Yeah, this should work. You looking for a fight? Not really. I'm more looking for chip damage than a fight. But that's just me. Yeah, that's actually a really good way to do that, because now we get Oscar a level up. Ew. Strength is good, but ew. And we can move him over here. Boyd has 15 HP. So he can't afford to miss. You know what? I'm probably playing this way safer than I need to, but... You should attack Boyd now on his turn, so... Yep. So now Boyd just has to take a hit and then hit him. He's taking a hit. This is why Boyd is a meme in this game. That right there. It's actually just comical. So let's try that again. That's a better end result. That's what I'm worried about with Boyd having low skill and a low skill growth, is that he's just not going to be able to hit anything later in the game. It's a bunch of XP for him, though. That, everybody take a note of that. That's probably the best Boyd level up we're going to see this entire game. And now we get the victory music, and also I don't know how to push buttons. So we have to seize with Ike, which means I have to put him down and then burn one more turn, but not a huge deal. Alright. So there we go. There's Chapter 1. That's the end of it. Ike, are you alright? Sure. Think that you've come so far? I didn't do anything, really, but it's all good. So... I think I can fit this. This will be a bit of a lengthy episode. I think that's actually kind of going to be the norm for this series, honestly. We'll see. I know this is the kind of thing that people will probably like either put on in the background or whatever. All good. We'll see how it goes. Oscar, you didn't have to bring that up. I wasn't paying attention. Bring what up? Welcome to the group. I've always been part of the group. I just haven't ever fought anything. But yeah, so there we go. There's Chapter 1. We'll go ahead and save. And... What? Oh! No. You weren't supposed to go there yet. Okay, so a preview for next time. We'll be starting with Chapter 2, which is Rescue. See you guys. No, stop going ahead. I'm trying to do an outro and you're spoiling stuff. Bad game. See y'all next time.